here in the U.S. because we talk about it so much. Every day since we were able to comprehend anything, the idea of human differences was presented to us nonstop. All, all three of us here are part of a minority group, and we all have an attachment to racism due to experience.
Racism is not a thing of the past. It is still here and is still affecting many individuals.
Today we are going to present the causes of racism, the effects of racism, and a few solutions to stop racism. First, I'll introduce the causes of racism. This includes the overall history of racism and the amount of people who aren't well educated about racism and choose to be ignorant. Racism is caused by many factors. History and ignorance are the two that we feel are the main factors of racism. When Africans were brought to the United States, they were put to work as slaves during the 17th century. They were stripped of their names, separated from their families, and sold in auctions so they'd be purchased by rich whites. Slaves were forced to Christianize, whipped, beaten, tortured, and in many cases lynched or hanged at whims of their white master, according to Sound Vision Access in 2017. And although slavery wasn't stopped until 1865, racism never stopped. We all know the famous civil rights movement leader, Martin Luther King Jr. He had to fight for people to hear his word. Many disregarded his speeches because of his color. He was shot while giving a speech. Next, I'll talk about ignorance. People are not educated about other races and therefore make ignorant assumptions. Merriam-Webster defines ignorance as a lack of knowledge, education, or awareness. Most people don't think before they speak, and they end up making derogatory remarks that often offend many individuals. Today, we see a lot of racist content being put on social media. Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook are filled with hurtful, discriminative words. Because of this, racism is not just something that happens in person anymore. Most of the time, people are too scared to say things to people in person, but the second that they're behind a screen, they're able to say anything that they want and get away with it. Children are educated on cyberbullying in school, but this oftentimes skips over discussing being racist online as well. Going along with the topic of learning, children learn behaviors from their parents. For example, if a child hears their parents swearing, they may also start swearing. This goes the same for using slang or remarks that are racist. If parents raise their children as being multiculturally sensitive, our rates of racism could decrease. Now that I've gone over the causes of racism, I'm going to hand this over to Mariah to discuss the effects of racism.
Thank you, Laura. Racism is affecting the progress America is trying to make. Two reasons why we believe America has not changed is because of fear and violence. People of color are filled with fear every day. Fear of death because someone doesn't like the pigment of their skin tone, or the fear of unemployment because being black equals being unsuccessful. These are just a few fears. Since the 50s, the unemployment rate versus white and blacks, it has remained the same, and every time the rate of blacks is double the rate for whites. The current unemployment rate is 5.7% overall in America. The rate for whites is 4.9% versus the rate for blacks, 10.3%. According to United States Department of Labor Force Statistics from the current population survey 2017. Not much has changed. Violence plays a huge role in racism and why the U.S. hasn't made any progress. Hate crimes are happening all over the U.S., first starting with key cars, leading to students being jumped on campus because of their color. In 2012, there were 3,467 recorded victims of racially motivated hate crimes, and 66% of those victims were attacked because of offenders' anti-black bias, according to the U.S. Department of Justice 2012 Hate Crime Statistics 2012. I have just talked about the effects that racism can cause. Next, Mohammed will be discussing some solutions.
Thank you, Mariah. There are many ways of solving a problem, but the first thing is realizing that there is a problem. We came up with 3 solutions, and these solutions will be hard to implement because it all depends on the person's willingness to learn and accept. These 3 solutions we came up with were education, speaking up, and peaceful protesting. First, education. Going back to what Autumn said, people are not educated about race and they make some assumptions. they're most likely gonna be ignorant or not well thought out. We believe educating is a great solution. When we were younger, all of us were taught in elementary school that we were all the same no matter our skin colors. And then onto middle school and high school, we learned briefly about slavery, and instead of stopping there, all colleges in America should require students to take a course that goes to in depth about race, about the history of race and current events. Second, speaking up. People not voicing their people not voicing people not voicing their thoughts because it has nothing to do with them is a big problem. If someone is being bullied, will you just stand there or will you help? I would. This is what's happening with racism. People are being harassed because of their difference, and the others are just watching instead of speaking up. Speaking up will make a great difference. There are times where you, as an individual, cannot do something, and in those times, it's best not to do anything. But there are times where you can do something, and it's best to do something. Our third solution was peaceful protesting. People often associate negative connotations to protesting, and I cannot blame them due to examples from past and recent events. We must take example from MLK and Colin Kaepernick. These men both showed that you can get your point across without causing chaos or damaging public or private property. It's examples like these that we should use to get our point across. I have just given you some solutions. Hopefully you use them.
As you can see, racism is still here today and it's still affecting many people.
Today we spoke about the causes of racism, the effects of racism, and some possible solutions to end racism.
If you see or hear someone being discriminated against, don't ignore it because it's not your problem, because unfortunately it is. If you want to see communities change and put an end to racism, you have to be willing to go out your comfort